Mikel Arteta has had a less than ideal season so far. Against Palace, however, they managed to put on a wonderful performance. It'll be interesting to see if they can carry this over into the next few games, or if this will just give the fans a false glimmer of hope. Today, we'll be looking at what this team did that was so effective and what wasn't. We'll start with the main part of why they managed to move the ball up the pitch so seamlessly and what Palace's idea was in the match. Arsenal had a very comfortable time on attack, and they managed to move the ball up the field with speed to create a lot of chances. This was mainly due to Palace's approach in the midfield, where they used a very compact box to prevent Arsenal from breaking through the middle. This did make it more difficult for Arsenal to play in the middle, but it left acres of space on the outside, which Arsenal of course exploited well. In addition, Crystal Palace also had a low block in the middle third, which gave Arsenal more time and space to build up from the back. Arsenal used a lot of resources when building from the back, with 5 players consistently providing support in this area. Arsenal were also more willing to send the ball long. All throughout the night, they managed to exploit the space behind Crystal Palace's centre-backs. So from this, we can gather that Palace had a very narrow and compact defensive structure. They weren't always passive out of possession though. They wanted to put pressure on Arsenal's defensive third, which would try to shut down Arsenal's attack before it could even begin. They primarily used a man-marking system to try and achieve this. This came with a few drawbacks for them. The first is that it left their middle third very exposed. Because the defenders stayed deeper, it would consistently give Arsenal many chances for counter-attacking opportunities. These abundant counter-attacks would prove to be an absolute nightmare for Palace throughout the game, as they put them under a lot of pressure. Arsenal had the dominant possession throughout the game, as 61% of the match was in Arsenal's control. We can see this permeate throughout other offensive stats, such as them taking 13 shots inside the box to Palace's 3, or Palace having to make 27 clearances to Arsenal's 17. Arsenal's defense was quite a bit more passive than I expected. They used a zonal marking approach, and they played with a mid-block for long stretches in the match. They backed their physicality and spread out a bit more across the pitch. Crystal Palace just weren't good in the build-up, and they really struggled to move the ball up the pitch. It honestly seemed like they were lacking in confidence, and their willingness to take risks just weren't there, until it was too late. Arsenal's spacing on defense was really good, and it showed a good amount of cohesion and patience. As a result, the amount of threats and the severity of them was on the lower end. Finally, let's look at Arsenal's set piece, which was absolutely superb on the night, particularly in the first half. Palace used a man-marking approach that was quite ineffective because they didn't have fast enough reaction times or the physicality to shut down Arsenal's players. When we look back at the match, we can see that in both of Arsenal's goals, Chris Richards was found out by Gabriel, who scored both. Richards didn't shadow Gabriel well enough to prevent his attacking threats. While this is an emphatic win for Arsenal, there were still some negatives, although they might be a bit nitpicky given the scoreline. The first is that Arsenal lost possession almost as much as Palace did. Given how woeful Palace's defending was on the night, I do believe that Arsenal could have been a bit more patient in some of their attacking phases. The second, although again this might be a little bit nitpicky, is that Arsenal did miss some shots, despite scoring a lot of goals. There were still chances that weren't taken, that you could argue should have been taken. This might just be the law of averages at play, seeing as they actually had so many chances during the match. But I do think that if they want to compete with the top teams, then they will have to improve in this area. Congrats to Arsenal for the amazing win, and commiserations to Palace fans that had to sit through that. It'll be interesting to know what you think Palace should do next to improve their situation. If you like this video and would like to see more, then please consider liking and subscribing. See you next time.